The Lake Catholic boys cap a 16-0 regular season in style with an 8-1 win over visiting Geneva on Wednesday afternoon in a non-conference match and the Cougars' senior day. Dominant display here by Lake in all facets. I love the possession. I love the pace through midfield. There were a lot of positives. When you get a hat trick out of a freshman in Kai Adams, that's always a great thing to see no matter what juncture of the season you're at. I thought Tommy Corsa had a great match out wide left throughout this match, showing a lot of pace and a lot of skill on his attacking runs out wide left, really creating some danger there for Lake in midfield going into the offensive third. But the one thing I have to say as far as nitpicking, and look, if you're 16-0, you're the number one team in the Division II state coaches poll, and you have aspirations of getting back to the state Final Four for the first time since 2009, nitpicking is necessary at times. And opening 40, the amount of offside calls. Guys, we've got to work on that going forward, and I'm confident that they will. There's a few ways that you can work your way out of that. Look, Geneva was playing a very high defensive line there in the defensive third, lulling Lake into a lot of offside calls. The strikers were straying offside. There's a couple of ways that you can work your way out of that. One is overlaps from midfield. That ensures you're staying on side, you're testing the shape of that defensive line, and making it more difficult for the defenders to pick up those runs. And another way too is if a midfielder wins the ball in the middle of the park, have the midfielders make the runs instead of the strikers. Make sure that the strikers stay on side. Have the midfielders make the run, whether it's an overlap or a regular attacking run, and let them latch onto the through balls. That way, you're increasing the probability of staying on side. And of course, the biggest way to stray from those offside calls is to keep the strikers on side. And in all those aspects, I am confident that Lake Catholic, going into the postseason, will utilize this as a lesson learned going forward and be better prepared when they face that look tactically from the opposition. Teams trying to lull them into a bit of an offside trap. With Geneva, I like some positives coming out of this match. Their enthusiasm throughout, they had a good work rate for 80 minutes. It's a tough ask for a young side to go on the road against the number one side in Ohio and try to put up a fight, but they did their best. They have 5 freshmen or sophomores in their starting 11 coming into this match, but they worked hard. They tried to keep this a decent match for as long as they could, and I love the enthusiasm down the stretch. They had one instance, I have to tell a quick story, in the second half where a defender cleared 2 balls off the line, surefire goals, and there was a sub coming into the match for the Eagles, and he looks at me and he says, "Now we're starting the comeback." And that made me smile. I like the enthusiasm there from Geneva, and that kind of enthusiasm and the youth that they have in their side should serve them well going forward. But with Lake Catholic, you can't help but love the form that they're on right now going into the postseason. You gotta love that back line with Jordan Bonchek and those guys back there. The midfield play with Nick Riepel at the controls and Tommy Corsa out wide, and Colin Kane coming in, getting his touches and working his way up top. There's just so many guys on great form right now. This is a side where they don't necessarily need to be reliant on a superstar player. It's just a very good starting 11 with above average, very good players who work well together as a unit, and that's great to see. The best starting 11s operate that way, and that's what Lake has right now. This is a team that's capable of a very deep run into October, and hopefully for them into November, looking for their first state Final Four berth in 6 years. But you can't do better than 16-0, and boy was it captain style with an 8-1 win over visiting Geneva on Wednesday.